here to learn from Jasmine Holmes, who's running 910 West and works with local services and businesses, to make them successful online. So welcome, business owners, directors, and marketeers to today's show. And also, Jasmine, welcome to Pathmark Presents.
Thank you.
Very good. So tell us about 910 West in your own words. What is it all about?
Sure. We are a small digital marketing company located in Gilbert, Arizona. Been in business for 13 years, so I've got about 20 years experience in marketing. I always joke and say that I like to be able to say that I'm older than I look. Most people don't believe that I could have been doing this for this long. And in fact, I've been working primarily in digital for that time. So my first job out of college was working on websites, and so kind of looking back
Hmm.
now for how far we come is quite amazing.
Hmm.
Our company, we are very heavy in websites because, of course, that's my background. SEO, email marketing, and like you said, working with a lot of local business and alternative medicine providers.
Very interesting. Yes. So maybe tell us a little bit more about this. What are the types of companies that you're working with? You already alluded to it, like alternative medicines, and maybe also very specific local businesses. Maybe tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure, sure. So, one of the things that is a little bit unique about us is I've really designed the company to be able to successfully work with businesses that are a little bit on the smaller end of the scale. So, a lot of times with agencies, they want the big fish, and I get that because there's a lot of opportunity there. But I just see that there's so much opportunity at that. And so, we're not talking the really small, one and two man shops, because for the most part, those folks aren't necessarily, they don't need the robust skills of a marketer. They generally have a lot of business for what they're doing already. But somebody who's a multi-practice provider, or a business that's growing, we're a great fit for them. And so I've really designed our services and our pricing and everything and about our business to be a great partner for that size business. So that's one of the things that we really look at when looking at a company is if they're the right size for us and we're the right size for them. That's a really important consideration. And if you're not, that's one of those things I will tell you right up front. If you're looking, for a bigger company, they're looking for a more full service agency. That's not necessarily us, and I'm
Yep.
happy to refer them over. So yeah, that's one of our big criteria. But we also really enjoy, like I said, that alternative medicine sort of natural health provider. So that can be everything. We work a lot with naturopaths. I've been doing that for years and years and years. So I know the SEO side of the naturopathic medicine world inside and out. But that's also chiropractors, and that can be holistic practitioners as well. So people who do sort of online counseling and holistic counseling, that sort of thing. So it's a very broad, and it's something that I'm very interested in. I partake of chiropractic and
Hmm.
naturopathic and all those things. So it's things that I'm really passionate about. So it's fun for me to be able to introduce new people to those concepts and those businesses.
Very cool. Very cool. So you're combining your passion there with your skills and supporting those business. That sounds really, really good.
It's the
Um,
only way to do it when you're self-employed. If you can't work with businesses you're really passionate about, it just doesn't make sense to work for yourself.
Very true. Um, how do those sort of business owners find you? Like, what would be a typical journey of somebody getting to start with 910 West?
Sure, absolutely. So, I've really built my business on relationships, and so a lot of our new customers come to us by word of mouth referrals. So
Hmm.
we've worked with either somebody else that they know in the industry and they like what we're doing, so they come to us and say, "Hey, we want you to do the same for us,"
Hmm.
or we partner with a lot of other marketing people who have they do similar type stuff we do, but not quite exactly. So we
Hmm.
work a lot with like PR agencies where they want to have the SEO and the web component, so we plug in. So a
Hmm.
lot of referrals from other agencies that we partner with as well, and then just referrals from the relationships that we've got out. I've spent a lot of time building relationships in our local community, so we get a lot from there. Of course, and this is something I've been thinking about a long time, long before where our current pandemic situation, but it's sort of pushed me to go, now is the time, also looking at how do we start building those relationships online. So how do we translate some of what we've done in the face-to-face world,
Hmm.
and so working on some really kind of niche focused marketing for us. And so that's where getting really clear on that deep niche in terms of the alternative medicine businesses, and then
Yep.
creating some marketing that's very specific to them. So that's my current project.
What's something that you learned about those websites of alternative medicine providers? What's specific to them? What's very unique to them that you think is very important for a website in that space?
That's an excellent question. So one of the conversations we have a lot with people in this space around their website is, so we know that when people are looking for things related to what they do, a lot of times they're looking because they have a problem. So, and particularly in the naturopathic space, it's they've got some kind of symptom. I have, you know, my digestive issues. I have this, I have that. And so they're looking for relief for that. And they may not necessarily know now. And we are seeing this change a little bit because alternative medicine treatments are becoming more and more well known, more and more popular. But a lot of times they weren't looking for the treatment, or they don't really know what it is. They just know they have the problem. So a lot of what we recommend, and it's kind of a balance we have to walk with our clients there, but including a lot of content around the areas, so those things that they specialize in treating, like, and that they're passionate about, really kind of the symptom kind of related content, but not portraying it in a way where it's like, we always want to say, you know, it's not like here's the issues, you know, kind of thing we solve, but more positive manner, but here's some things that we can help you with, basically. So segmenting that more by, here's, if this is how you're feeling, here's the solution. So kind of connecting that, this is how you're feeling, and here's the solutions that we have that might be able to help you, versus just the solutions. Because you know, we're not medical professionals, the average person, right? And so that's where we really want to kind of build that expertise, but it also builds that bridge in between the services that they're offering and how people are looking for what they do and the kinds of things they're looking for.
Very interesting. It seems like you're bringing a very important angle to those websites by not just focusing on the procedures, right? But not everybody will know those words, will know those concepts even, right? Um,
Exactly.
Very interesting. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so my side gig, I teach at an incubator a couple hours a week, helping startups get started, and
Mhm.
that it's that exact conversation we have as we help them develop their idea is on the talking about what they do. It's really, it's not the features. Don't get all into like it does. Here's what in their tech businesses. So here's what my cool little software does. No, no, no. What you're, it's really about knowing who your customer is and then telling them how you're going to solve their problems. And so it's kind of that same principle.
It's interesting. I think this example actually makes it very, very easy to understand the concept because sometimes I think it's difficult to write a website without, you know, going into features. But the example that we just highlighted here makes it so clear. Like if you describe your very specific procedure, nobody else will know that, right?
Right.
But very good. Cool.
Well, and as I always
Good.
say, it's they don't really care. Like people want the chocolate cake, they don't care how you made it. Like they don't care all the ingredients that went into it. They just want the chocolate cake on the end. And so that's where we want to really start with, get them in excited about the chocolate cake, and then we can talk about how it's made. Yep.
What's typically the goal of a website like this? Is that to, you know, win a lead? Is that to get an appointment booked? Is that to get a click to call? Like, what's usually the scenario?
Yeah, so for most of our businesses, it is about, as we were just talking with the client about this yesterday, butts in the seats. So we want people coming in through the door. And even in today's virtual world, a lot of these businesses are still able to see people in the door. So it is about getting them in. But there's also that opportunity now to pivot, and some of them are able to offer very similar services online. So then that becomes a virtual appointment versus, but it's really about getting that appointment booked. A lot of our practices offer some sort of initial consultation, so that can be kind of like a teaser to get people in. So that's sort of the try before you buy. But even if not, it's really about that appointment, whether it's that, you know, initial 15-minute consultation to talk about it, or you've just read, you know, we've done a great job selling you on the website. Now you're ready to schedule that first appointment with us. So that can be a yes, call us to schedule your appointment if they've got online booking, which a lot of, because a lot of these businesses are under, in the US, under these HIPAA laws, which is the privacy, the medical privacy laws. So they're using what we call EHR, which are electronic health record systems, the same ones your doctors are using, but they use it for booking appointments and stuff because it's HIPAA compliant.
Yep.
And so a lot of those have online booking. So if they're utilizing that, we can just click people over, which we know, particularly the younger demographic, they really want that online scheduling. So if that's available, if that's something the client's open to, we love that because it sort of saves that step. But if not, it's, yeah, make a phone call and book an appointment. We really don't. We really discourage sort of email leads, just because of what the
Hmm.
HIPAA laws. Email is very insecure, so it's very much either call or schedule that online appointment through a secure system.
Makes sense. Can you tell me how you're thinking about, or if that's even important in that case, qualifying the people that are coming through? Like, because obviously you cannot spend the whole day explaining your services to everybody who then moves on. Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's something. In fact, I just was talking with another client, which they
Hmm.
are a little bit of an outlier. They're a software as a services company client, but
Hmm.
same thing. He's like, how do we know like where they're coming from? And we're just trying to figure out, basically the quality of the leads and how can we. They have
Hmm.
two websites, so we're trying to figure out one's working really well. How can we do the same thing on the other side of it?
Hmm.
Um, and so I think part of that is it all starts with, and one of the things, one of the networks I'm a part of is something called the Duct Tape Marketing Network. And one of the reasons I became a duct tape marketing certified consultant is we have this strategy first approach, which is really thinking through, and the core piece of that is identifying your key audience or audiences depending on the size of the business.
Hmm.
And then all your marketing gets built around basically walking a mile in that audience's shoes. And so knowing what they're looking for, then you build the website to help qualify those leads. So it's basically, okay, if I am this person and I have this problem, what do I need to see on here? Or what's that logical path I'm going to take from discovery to now that I'm ready to pick up the phone to call? Kind of thing. So a lot of it is around the content and how we build that content flow in the website.
Yep.
But obviously, having lead tracking, some kind of tracking mechanism on the back end, that also helps us to kind of figure out, and all of that, using Google Analytics and goals and all that great tracking stuff to help us kind of figure out, okay, they came from this source, here's what they did on the website. Did they follow the path we envisioned?
Hmm.
And then at the end, did they kind of come out to that other side, which was that scheduling that appointment?
Very, very interesting. Actually, funny that you bring up duct tape marketing. I was just a guest recently on John's show, so
Oh,
funny that you.
okay, perfect. Yeah, small world. John. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, yeah.
Very good. Cool. Yeah. So maybe slightly switching the topic, can you tell me a little bit more about your thinking about increasing the leads from the website? What have you found to be
Mm.
one or two very important ingredients?
Oh, that is a great question. So, it really kind of breaks down to, you have two ways to get people on your website. You can either do it organically, which is, they're searching for things and they find you, or you do it with some kind of online advertising, whether that's social media, whether that's Google. Those are kind of your two, and they're not mutually exclusive because they certainly work together. A lot of our clients are more established businesses, so they're on the side where they've got pretty good reputation. So just doing organic gives them enough fresh leads, because boosted by their reputation and the connections they have in the community and the referrals they get, that all kind of works together.
Hmm.
But we do have some clients that are looking to grow more aggressively, and so those clients were really encouraging, because these days, particularly somebody who's looking for aggressive growth in the business, if they're just kind of like, hey, we're in a good spot, we just need to sort of keep up with attrition,
Yep.
then organic can be a great strategy. For our clients that are looking to more aggressively grow, we definitely talk to them about some kind of digital advertising campaign, and maybe Facebook or social media and a combination of Google ads, or something there, because that's just, it's the quickest way to get results. It's really easy to track, from the cost to acquire that customer all the way through to them booking. So there's some really great formulas for the business, and being able to really sort of figure out what are they spending to acquire these customers, and does it make sense with
Hmm.
you know the business and what they're making off each one. So I think that's a great technique. But organic still is, I think there's a little bit of this sort of feeling like, oh, because of the way SEO is shifted, that maybe organic isn't as important as it used to. Although we have seen the huge rise in local SEO, everybody's all about local, which our business is being local. And I was doing it before it was cool. So I've been doing local SEO for like 8 or 9 years now. I'm like, welcome to the party, everybody. Um, so for those local brick and mortar businesses, that those localized keywords are great. So on an SEO front, that's really what they want to focus. And we have a lot of conversations with our customers like, hey, we don't need like this broad keyword that you're going to have people from all over the US coming to your website, because unless you've got a virtual component, they're not your customers. So from that perspective, the local SEO for a local business that's really their customers are, coming from a 15, 20 mile radius on down.
Hmm.
But if you do have a business that's got a wider reach and everybody's thinking about virtualization these days, that does then kind of open that up to you can do broader SEO, but then you also SEOs seems to be getting very competitive these days on those more broad terms, and so that's where you've got to be creative and or employ advertising. So I really like the mix of those two together,
Yep.
and what that percentage looks like just sort of depends on, like I said, the business's goals and who their audience is, and then we kind of create that formula for them.
Very interesting. So let's switch gears a little bit and learn
Yes.
about yourself as a business leader. Maybe tell me what type of content do you consume to educate, and where do you learn and found like, high value resources for yourself?
Absolutely. So, as you can imagine, being a duct tape marketing consultant, but long before I was a consultant, I was a follower. So,
Mhm.
I highly recommend John's podcast or his blog. He's got some great topics, both for agencies folks, so people who are looking to grow their agencies, but also on the general business, small business marketing side.
Mhm.
Lots of great ideas there. It's one of the reasons I became a consultant, just because it aligns so much with my principles.
Mhm.
For to stay on top of local SEO, I highly recommend localu.org. You may have heard of them. It's a whole group of local SEO experts, industry experts, that they've got a podcast that they do weekly, as well as
Mhm.
blog posts and all kinds of great. And they've got a forum. So if that's an arena you're working in and you need help or support, or you're just kind of getting in there and you're a place where you might need some guidance, the forum's a great place to get that. So highly recommend that as well. So those are the two I follow religiously. The third person I really follow religiously and have since I've started my business is a fellow by the name of Michael Katz, Blue Penguin Development. He focuses on email marketing for solopreneurs and very small businesses. And he talks a lot about like relationship marketing, which is something that really connects with me and is a way I've grown my business. But I just love he's got a newsletter he does about once a month or so, just really great kind of things that get you thinking, and simple stuff that really any business can implement. That's always sort of my measure, is like the techie stuff is fun, particularly when I need to stay on top of what's happening in the industry and changing.
Mhm.
But some of it too is, because we work with the smaller businesses, some of that really high level stuff just isn't going to apply to them because they're just not at that size where it makes sense. So I'm always looking for kind of the practical, where can I take that big idea and bring it down to something that I can use right now in my day to day. So those are three of my favorite sources.
Very cool. Three very specific resources, and you explained very well like why they have been helpful for you. Very cool.
Yeah.
Um, so since we're slowly already coming to an end of the interview, I would love to jump into our rapid fire questions. It's only a
Okay.
couple of questions. It's
All
only,
right.
one word or one sentence answers. Are you ready for those?
All right. We could do it.
Perfect. For your company, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say the word marketing operations?
Processes.
Mhm. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say sales operations?
Ooh. Lead generation.
Mhm. What's one single thing that you are focused on the most at the moment?
Oh, client onboarding.
Mhm.
How can we make a great experience from day one?
Mhm. If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing that you want to have fixed for your clients today?
Oh, well, can I spin this and talk about the one thing I'd really want? Because maybe somebody will hear this and make it.
Yeah.
I really want an AI assistant for my email that
Mhm.
can like send some follow up messages automatically for me. I did spend a lot of time looking for this solution about a year ago, and there's a few things that are close, but not exactly. But yeah, basically like a little AI bot where I can give it some rules and it learns, and then it can respond to like the stuff where it's just you got to say like, oh yeah, we're working on that or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
would love that. I
Awesome.
think that would make everybody's life a little easier if we could cut down on volume of email and really just keep all the critical stuff in the inbox and have the rest of it dealt with a little AI assistant.
There are some good ones for scheduling that keeps on your scheduling, but not, I think, not
Yes.
beyond that.
Yeah, no, no, no. It's not there yet, but like I said, there was a few things that look like it's close. So I figure it's technology we'll see soon.
Awesome. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about your company?
Hmm. Oh, keeping me awake at night. So a big one for me is just staying on top of being in an industry, which we're certainly not unique in this, where it's constantly changing. Staying on top of what's changing and knowing what I need to know to make sure that I take my client, what my clients pay me very seriously, and being able to get them results. And so for me, it's like, what do I need to know so that we can continue to deliver those results now and in the future?
Very good. And the very last question. If today would be the first day of you running 910 West, what's one advice that you would give yourself?
Ah, it's a great question. I deal with this a lot in my work at the incubator. I would say implementing, really thinking through processes and documentation from day one and trying to systemize as much as you can in the business without reducing customer service, but trying to systemize, because that's really where I've sort of got myself in a ditch in terms of growth right now. Is I didn't do that initially because it was just me, and why do we need it? And now it's like trying to layer that back in after the fact is way harder than if you just build the company that way. So it's more scalable from day one.
Makes a lot of sense, Jasmine. I really appreciate that you took the time and walked us through the world of 910 West, how you work with specific health-related website, but also supporting SaaS companies actually in, helping them with their qualification of the leads, and how you are educating yourselves on very specific resources. You mentioned particularly duct tape marketing. So guys, head over there and check out John's podcast. It's definitely a very interesting source. So Jasmine, I really appreciate you taking the time. Everybody who's interested in learning more about what Jasmine is doing, head over to 910. That's the actual number. So 910west.com and see what they're up to. Thanks for being part of the show today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.